answer the questions. We have 12 or 13 questions. Yeah, okay. First of all, some prayers. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presta Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyadesh Etarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Pramanityananda Sri Advaita Gadadha Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanshkapaturubhyas cha kripas sindubhya eva cha. Patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So first of all, devotees, it looks like we've got 5 questions from the Vaishnav etiquette course. We have yet to get it together so the devotees online can ask questions during the class or before the end of the class. So anyway, here are some questions from the Vaishnav etiquette seminar attendees. And then we have some general questions from different devotees who've written in. So first question, why did Lord Caitanya not let the devotees drink the water that he washed his feet with? Well, if you know, that in Krishna consciousness, so often when we glorify the Lord or glorify a devotee, some devotees of the Lord, then we talk about their lotus feet. There's one very important verse we generally sing every day at Guru Puja in the Guru Vandana song, Shri Guru Charana Padma, Kevala Bhakati Sadma, Bando Mui Savadan Mate, which means the lotus feet of the spiritual master are the only way by which we can attain pure devotional service. Therefore I bow down to his lotus feet with great awe and reverence. Yeah. So the feet of the great personalities are taken to be extremely special. Actually, the point in one sense is that these people are so special that even the lowest part of their bodies, their feet, are just so special, so completely special. What to speak of the higher parts of their bodies or their heads? Their feet, they're so special that their feet are just so special. So, therefore, devotees like to get some dust from the lotus feet of other devotees or the Lord. They like to get some water which has bathed the feet, like this. And at least in the pastimes of Lord Caitanya, there are a number of occasions when devotees went out of their ways to get some dust or some water which should wash the lotus feet of Lord Caitanya. But the thing is, when people take some dust from your feet, or some water, if some water's washed your feet, so they get benefit, but you, the one whose feet were washed, you give the person who's taken some of that water or dust, you give them some of your pious reactions. You share some of your good reactions with them, some of your Krishna conscious results with them. So therefore the devotees are not keen. Well, there are different reasons. I mean, that's one reason, but the devotees don't feel they're special. So they feel, why should they take some water from my feet? There's no point. Therefore, they don't want the other devotees to drink some water from their feet. So there's all these different reasons, and it's a kind of little bit complex situation there. But generally, the devotees would like to get some dust or water from the lotus feet of some other devotees. But the other devotees feel that any water from my feet's not going to help them, so best they don't take any. Yeah, and Lord Caitanya felt something like that too. Is it possible to develop humility through Kirtan services? It certainly is. We know Lord Caitanya says in the 3rd verse of Shikshastakam, Trinadapi Sanichena Tarorapi Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari, that if we have a really humble state of mind when we chant the holy names, then we can chant successfully. Then we can chant very nicely. And when you chant very nicely in that sort of mood, then you can chant the holy names constantly. Otherwise, if you're not in a humble mood, you won't be able to chant the holy names constantly. Maybe for a while, but then after a while, you'll just feel you must stop, and you'll stop. Yeah. So, yes, so to chant the holy names, bearing in mind that verse 3 of Shikshastakam from Lord Caitanya. So if you chant Kirtan very nicely, bearing that verse in mind, and really trying to take that to heart and chant in that mood that Lord Caitanya is advocating so strongly there, certainly humility will develop. Can we develop humility by associating with pure devotees? Of course. Whoever's association you accept, you receive, you get, you will become like them. You'll become influenced by them, and you'll pick up some of their characteristics. So if you associate with pure devotees, it means you hear them, you try to serve them, these types of activities and moods, then, and you try to appreciate them, then you'll pick up some of their nature. Just as if you associate with fire, if you sit next to a fire, you become hot. So if you associate with pure devotees, you'll become also purified as a devotee. Can you explain why Lord Caitanya gave 5 important instructions to the 6 Goswamis? They were pure devotees anyways, so why do they need instructions? Well, Lord Caitanya, he didn't just give them 5 instructions. He gave them a whole lot of instructions, but amongst those instructions, the last 5 have particular significances. Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtan Bhagavat Shravan Mathura Vastri Murtira Shradaya Sevan. That we should associate with the devotees, chant the holy names, hear Srimad Bhagavatam, live in a sacred place like Mathura, and worship the deity with great faith and reverence. So the thing is, Lord Caitanya deputed the 6 Goswamis to write down the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, the teachings, the practices, everything. What is Krishna consciousness? So he made a point of giving it to them as he wanted. Not that that implies that they were incapable at all, but they were extremely happy to hear what Lord Caitanya said, how he said it, what emphasis he placed on different things. And then they, being deputed by him to record all these things for the generations in the future, which includes us. So they then wrote all these things down for us, as Lord Caitanya wanted it compiled. The principle, always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. How to live by this principle, as I don't tend to remember Krishna most of the time during the day. Yeah, well, you're not the only one. But the thing is that Krishna consciousness involves practice. Practice makes perfect. If you keep practicing, like chanting, if you keep practicing chanting sincerely and seriously, gradually your chanting will become better and better. Eventually it will become perfect. So we have to carry on. If at first you don't succeed, try again. So similarly, we should try to remember Krishna every day, as often as we can every day. And the more we practice this, even though sometimes the mind may get the better of us, we may become distracted and not remember Krishna so clearly, or maybe just forget Krishna. But with that practice, regular chanting, regular engaging in service to Krishna, regular association with the devotees of Krishna, gradually it will go deeper and deeper into the heart until you'll be able to always remember Krishna and never forget him. Okay. Those were the questions from the Vaishnava Etiquette course. Here we have some general questions from the internet. When preparing bhoga, means food for offering to Krishna. When preparing bhoga, we know that this should be done with cleanliness, care, and with our best attempts as we're cooking for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. if in any circumstance there was something erroneously done, in other words, if you made a mistake, for example, additional salt, and this has already been offered to the Lord, is it all right to still offer this remnant to other devotees? Or if the bhoga is not of a certain standard of cooking, is this going to be okay to offer this prasadam to other devotees? You know, one thing is that as you become more practiced in cooking for Krishna, then you'll become more easily able to cook nicely, and you won't make silly mistakes like that. And you won't need to taste what you're doing in the middle of cooking it to just see, does it need this or that? You just cook for Krishna without testing, without tasting, until after it's offered. And if you're really sincere and you really try your best to learn how to cook nicely, then you're not going to make silly mistakes. So it's very rare. It's very rare that devotees who cook for the Lord, that they make something which is like, kind of horrible. Of course, sometimes things happen, although it's very rare. It's just so rare, actually. The only time I've heard of when a devotee made something and it was literally inedible was many years ago, maybe late 60s or very early 70s. A devotee in America made some halava, but instead of putting, whatever, maybe a kilo of sugar, which, you could easily use if you're cooking for a number of devotees, the devotee put a kilo of salt. And salt, sugar, of course, obviously is very sweet. Salt, in its own way, is much stronger. Yeah, it's much stronger than sugar. So this halava, it had all this salt. And when it was served out to the devotees, the first devotees who took a mouthful, they just went, because it was just too far out. So then they fed it to the animals. But it was so bad even the animals wouldn't eat it. So they took it and fed it to some trees, put it on sort of the base or the roots of the trees. Yeah. But this is very rare. And if, even if something is not exactly the way you'd like it, if it's prasadam, then it should be distributed to the devotees. So, okay. Prabhupada says in his purport to Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verses 4 and 5, however, one should not fast unnecessarily or against Vedic injunctions. As my husband, who is a Muslim, follows the month of Ramadan, so I have to practice it as well. Is it considered as fasting unnecessarily or against Vedic injunctions, or is it fasting in the mode of goodness? Srila Prabhupada further explains, one should not fast for some political purpose. That is described in Bhagavad Gita as fasting in ignorance. And anything done in ignorance or passion does not lead to spiritual advancement. Everything done in the mode of goodness does advance one. However, and fasting done in terms of the Vedic injunctions enriches one in spiritual knowledge. P.S. Taking into consideration that Ramadan is given by Ram. Well, I don't know about that. But anyway, well, I don't know, because I'm not Muslim, and I've never, anyway, I don't want to get into it, but I've just never really taken an interest. So I don't know why are they fasting? I've been in Dubai when they have been fasting, but I don't know why. In Krishna consciousness, when we fast, like on Janmashtami or some appearance day of the Lord or some great acharya like that, when we fast, or on Ekadasi, we're fasting really so we can focus our attention on the occasion, like on Ekadasi, so we can chant more, do more devotional activities. We don't fast just to be austere, just to be renounced as a type of renunciation. We do it so we can then do, by eating less, taking less time with eating, we can give more attention and time to our Krishna conscious activities. So I would say that if you have no choice but to do that, and you're a devotee, and you just can't avoid it, I would say that every morning you should offer a prayer to the Lord, that you're dedicating this to Him, and will He kindly give you some opportunity to do something more in Krishna consciousness, or something better in Krishna consciousness, as a result, on the basis of doing the fast. Otherwise, well, like I say, I don't know why they do it. It's certainly against the Vedic injunctions. That's a fact. It's some other school of thought altogether, and unnecessary. Anyway, I'm suggesting that you try to dedicate it in a certain way, and, as they say, make the best use of a bad bargain. Our devotee here says they feel they get some pious credits. They get more piety for enjoying more in heaven. Okay. Anyway, we'll leave that up to them. But for a devotee who's forced to do it due to circumstances, then my suggestion would be try to utilize the time, because I know they only eat in the evening. So you've got the whole day. You can do more Krishna conscious activity. In this way, try and dedicate it to Krishna, directly or indirectly. It is usual practice among some devotees to chant around for somebody, for example, for your relative, so that Krishna may help them in a difficult situation. How authorized is this practice? Does it bring results? Might it be considered as the 8th offense to the holy name, eighth offense being to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna to be an actual materialistic type of religious activity for material benefit of good health or whatever like that. Well, it would depend why they're doing it. If it's for the health of someone, particularly someone who's not a devotee, then it would tend to be karmakandya. Yeah. If it's to help someone in Krishna consciousness, that's better at least. You know, the main thing would be, in my opinion, that the devotee who is doing the extra has a desire to benefit the other person. So when a devotee desires benefit, particularly Krishna conscious benefit, for another person, then the other person will get some mercy from Krishna. How to develop love for a spiritual master. I've noticed that some devotees show greater commitment and affection. It is usual practice. Oh. Okay. Anyway, that's the first part. How to develop love. You know, you can develop love for anyone by serving them. Prabhupada explains it's in Lilamrita how the Vedic tradition was that children would become married. I know when Bhaktivinoda Thakur was first married, his wife was 5 and he was 10. And of course they didn't enter into a regular married relationship just like that. But for years, you know, they were sort of neighbors or in the neighborhood, the two families. And so for years, every few days, the girl would take some food for her husband. And through that service, going on and on and on, gradually affection would arise. Prabhupada talks about this. So if you want to develop love for a spiritual master, serve him. Yeah. Really try to serve. And then, it's the same question from the previous question. Yeah. You know, sometimes we get on our japa programs, a couple of days ago it happened, some devotee's sister got sick. We were asked to pray. So I prayed that she'll become better and Krishna conscious. That's what I prayed. I am from a country where people are forced to change their religion or their lives are threatened. I want to understand whether religion or dharma is important or life. You know, they're both important. So sometimes you have to use your intelligence, how to be Krishna conscious in situations in which it's difficult to be Krishna conscious. Yeah. Like I've so many times told the story of how I got arrested and put in jail for 3 days in London. And what am I meant to do? They took my beads away. It was really no devotees, you know. Difficult situation. So I chanted on my fingers. And I kept track of the number of rounds by scratching on the wall. So even if you're in a difficult situation, by Krishna's grace, it's possible to utilize it in Krishna conscious ways. So, like if you're preaching, or if you're living in a Muslim country where sometimes it's like that, not always, but definitely sometimes it's really like that. You have to use your intelligence, how you can be Krishna conscious without them knowing. And underground, underground devotees. I agree. Bhagavan Sri Krishna is the Supreme Personality, and He is the best God of Sanatana Dharma. That I believe in 1,000%. Nothing is there without Krishna. But He has only 2 eyes, whereas Mahadev, Lord Shiva, has 3. Or any other demigod has 2 eyes. Can you kindly explain why is that? I guess Krishna has better eyesight. He only needs 2. But there's so many forms of Krishna. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, the sun and the moon are my eyes. Krishna's eyes are everywhere. So just because Lord Shiva, in a certain particular form at least, has 3 eyes, doesn't mean he's in a better position for being God. He'll be more able to be God than Krishna. Don't worry about it. There are so many Brahmas on different planets. Well, that's not entirely accurate, but I mean, it's sort of accurate. Do all Brahmas take birth from the lotus flower which came from the navel of the Lord? I think you don't understand the situation so clearly. In every universe, Garbhodakshai Vishnu lies down at the bottom of the universe, and a lotus flower comes from his navel. In every universe. And in every universe, a Lord Brahma then appears on top of the lotus flower. Yeah. So all Brahmas take birth in that way, but in different universes. Yeah. Krishna is pleased when we serve the gurus. Other than chanting and serving deities and guru, what is the best way to serve guru and make him happy? Well, I was going to say, try to preach to people, tell people about Krishna consciousness. But before that, I'm going to say, first of all, read the books and learn what is Krishna consciousness. Then go out and meet people and inform them what is Krishna consciousness. But only after you've learnt what is Krishna consciousness. Otherwise you can just sort of confuse people so badly and confuse yourself. So get Prabhupada's books, read them very carefully, learn Krishna consciousness, and then preach it to others. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, that's that. Arjuna Charan, Prabhu. Yes, we're finished. Okay. Thank you.